Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Leadership Loft with LaKisha C. Brooks. And as you see, Tracy is not with me, but I have another fabulous co-host, and the two of them have dreads, so they have that in common, and they both look so amazing as always. So I'm going to have my co-host introduce himself before we dive into our content for today. So, Neil, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Cornelius Dowdell. Please call me Neil. I am an HR and talent development specialist. I am the owner of the Neil Strategy, but also I partner with a few other management consulting firms and other consultants as well to deliver not only training, but also enhance employee learning experiences across organizations. I am
Wow.
also the president of ATD Greater Atlanta as well. I keep forgetting about that part.
He has a laundry list of accolades and accomplishments, and he forgot one of his best accolades, which is my friend as well. So we're not just colleagues, we friends as well. So as you all know, you normally see Tracy here. I know. I heart him too. You guys normally see Tracy, and Tracy said, I have an emergency. I have some stuff to deal with at the school. And I hit up Neil. And Neil and I have a really great relationship, both personally and professionally. So when I needed someone to step in and take Tracy's spot, Neil was the first person that I called on. So I could not be more happy to have him join us today. And so today, he and I are going to dig into something that he said about that employee experience, that talent experience. And as we know, we've seen an influx of what is known as the Great Resignation, which we're going to talk about on our next segment. But we're seeing a lot of that. And one of the reasons why you're seeing that is because of individual talent experience. How can we make it so that people want to stay with their organization? One of the ways to do that is to individualize that experience. So today we're going to talk about how can you create a talent experience that can help to retain your talent. And so one of the things that Neil and I are going to start off talking about is the difference in engagement and experience. We hear these words used interchangeably a lot. And so I want us to talk about the difference. And so one of the things that I tell people is the employee engagement is tied to the organization, to your job. How happy are you with this organization? How happy are you with your job? And you usually see this once a year. They'll send a survey out to everyone and they'll say, tell me how you feel about your job. Would you refer your friends to this job? Do you love our company? And again, there's nothing wrong with that because we all do it. And we want to have a temperature check to gauge to see how well people are connected to their role and to the organization. However, on the flip side of that, when we think about the experience, that starts from the moment you recruit them. So that recruitment can
Mm-hmm.
be a Facebook post, an Indeed. It can be on LinkedIn. I've gotten recruited that way to the moment that they're termed. And that termination can be both involuntary or voluntary. And now we have something called alumni-ship. So that whole experience can go from the moment they're recruited to the moment they become an ally. And then they're talking about their experience and all those little moments in between. So, Neil, how would you define the difference between the employee engagement or the talent engagement and then that of the experience? What's your definition?
My definition. So when I look at the talent engagement aspect of things, it reminds me of talent management. So
Mm,
you look at the systems, you look at the processes, that management, that aspect, that engagement piece, people align it with, okay, that system and that process, let me look down and see if I can define measurables. The thing is, measuring experience, though, that experience means that you have to take it to the next level and be more involved, and actually go with, not want to say go with the flow, but it's going to be more organic. You're going to provide the skills, you're going to provide the resources that that person needs to grow organically, even if it's not in the role that they currently have. So you're looking holistically at that individual and where they're planning to go within your organization or outside of your organization.
yeah, and a lot of people don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that you're getting this great experience for them, you're individualizing it, you're taking that time, and then the next thing you know, they want to go elsewhere. But to your point, sometimes it does mean that we are preparing them to leave us, to go on to something bigger and better. And I
Mhm.
know when I hire people, my job is to make sure that I'm doing the best I can so that they can go on to something
Right.
greater and bigger. Maybe they want to start their own company. Maybe they want to go in corporate and become a training manager. But that's my job to do that. So that's why, to your point, it should be individualized and it should be about whatever path that person wants to take. One of the things that I do when I first have a new hire is not only do I try to get to know them personally, so we have this questions about your favorite coffee, color, things like that. So I can individualize the praise and the rewards to them as well,
Mhm.
because somebody who I think I'm just going to give everybody coffee gift cards. Well, I don't drink coffee, so you're wasting your time and money giving me that because I don't even drink coffee. So it's little things like that that don't seem like, well, that's trivial. Well, it's trivial to you, but if you're giving someone rewards and gifts, you want to know about them. Another thing is that I do is I ask them what are their goals for their career. Where do you see that
Mhm.
going? And like you said, sometimes it's not aligned with maybe what we have here, the role we have here, maybe the department we have here. So you want to make sure that you're looking at that maybe every quarter when you're talking to them in their performance review. Remember when you said you wanted to do this? Do you still want to do that, or is it something different? So that's something that I try to do
Then-
with my new hires. So Neil, talk to me about what are some of the practices that maybe you've done as well.
So I've been in management for a while, but you brought up a really good example as far as when you're sitting in that performance review and you're having those conversations about performance. That's part of the talent management process. And then when you're thinking about the engagement process, that's you engaging your employees. But is what you're doing, that experience that you're providing is within those things. Again, you have to take that extra step. And what you're asking is, I'm going to go beyond and start asking about what are you doing externally? What can I do during your process, your performance review, to help you build the things that you're doing, not only here, but in your personal life as well? Because we are bringing our whole selves to work regardless and looking and seeing how we can tie all these things together to build a better whole person for ourselves. So what I've done in my performance reviews with my employees in the past is understanding where their goals and projections are, even outside of the workplace.
Absolutely.
So that we can tie in some of the things that they wanted to do. You don't want to be about work all day, every day. You want to be able to provide some experience so that they feel happy and joyful. So that means them getting a certification or taking a class that's outside of the career trajectory that you've already plotted for them. Because let's be honest, we get people in roles and we plot career trajectories based off a silo. Just because I'm in talent management or I'm in talent development doesn't mean that I want to be a chief learning officer. But there are a lot of managers that put you on that career track of that aspect. So the employee has a responsibility of communicating that to their manager and to that organization. But the organization has a responsibility of acknowledging that and providing an experience that keeps them in the fold. So if that means that, hey, I need to give them enough experiences not to just leave me, maybe go to another department, give them work that gives them more joy and excitement, then that's what you do. It shouldn't be combative. You just plan for those things so that you would, hey, I'm going to probably coach this person out to another area, whatnot, but I'm doing it and they're going to have a great experience because that branding, they're going to talk great things about that manager that did that for them, that organization that provided that support for them, which will draw and attract more talent than you utilizing regular talent management aspects of doing to draw and attract talent as well.
What you just mentioned is what we talk about in alumniship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're doing. Once they go on and they move on to a different role or go to a different organization, is exactly what you said. Now they're your biggest champion and advocate to help you recruit. I mean, we have recruiters. I mean, I hired a recruiter to get one of my one of my new roles filled as well. So we all have recruiters that we hire, and they go through all of they'll go to a college fair, they'll go to Indeed, they go to all these different places. But what's the best way to promote your organization? Is the person that worked there.
Work.
Yeah, they're the ones that
Yeah.
said it was great. They gave me this experience. I feel great about it, And if anyone knows me, they know that I've worked for the Adidas group on the Reebok, and I talk about it all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
not because it was like, okay, I work for Adidas, it's big time, but because of the experience that I had while working there. It was so great. I mean, like I could go work out in the middle of the day when I went to Boston. Or whenever I would travel, I would just go to a Reebok, like I would go to a CrossFit box and go there as well. They allowed me and said, hey, you, at the time I was thinking about doing ATD Great Atlanta in a leadership role. Neil took my spot. He's my successor. But they were all like, hey, go do it. I mean, that it's not related to the job per se, but if that's what you want to do, go do it. And I think a lot of managers, they avoid that because they feel that it's a distraction to
Mm-hmm.
your actual job. What do they want to own a business outside of here? What do they want to go get another job? And so later today, we're going to do a webinar on micro careers. But what you're saying is entertain that, you know, and we're going to talk about in our webinar, entertain the idea that they have interest outside of your job, outside of the company.
It's
And I can just tell
building,
you, Neil, you know this, I got fired for doing that.
yes, it's building trust. So it's building trust, providing a psychologically safe environment for your employees to express those desires. They're having them. I'm saying acknowledge them, include it in part of the plan. And if you're worried about your employees leaving because they've expressed a desire for something else, but if you're providing and preparing them for those desires or those dreams that they're having, more than likely they're going to stay with you.
Absolutely.
More
Absolutely.
than likely they're going to stay with you. You know, and that is, and I think that's that area where people are feeling scared. They have that fear. I would say is that, oh, you know, they might actually leave us. And I've been in a few roles in the past where I've wanted a certain type of certification or wanted the ability to do X, Y, and Z, uh,
Right.
and was denied those opportunities. That only motivated me more to start looking for other things.
That's right.
And so, and understanding what
Oh, did we lose Neil?
my dreams, I was on a 5, 6 year trajectory before becoming a full-time consultant. And so,
Oh, looks like we may be losing Neil.
you know, lawyer. And
There
so
you
it
go. There
wasn't
you go.
providing the opportunities that I needed to build that skill set. So I had to make a leap of faith. And actually, it's like when I realized that it was never going to happen, that that lit a fire under me tremendously. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's we had similar journeys. So again, as I said to everybody before, Neil is my homeboy along with my colleague and my successor. So we're connected in a lot of different ways. And so we share a similar journey of entrepreneurship. And so mine was different because I got fired for having my business. And for me, I relaunched my business because I was not getting that talent experience in my role. You know, first I was furloughed, and in addition to being furloughed, there's a lot of things I wanted to do in my role that I couldn't do. A lot of things that like I had interest in, like you said, outside interests. I wanted to explore diversity, equity, inclusion even more
Mhm.
than I was already doing. I wanted to put together more comprehensive talent management programs. I wanted to do these things, and not having the opportunity to do it said, well, why don't I just do it outside of here? And you sometimes see that not all companies are bought into the idea of doing things externally. But to your point, the person wouldn't have been looking to do it externally or wouldn't be looking to leave had they been encouraged to utilize those talents in the role. How many times have you, Neil, or anybody that's listening, you gone out and you got a certificate, a certification, a degree, and you're so excited to show your manager your new skill? It's like your shiny toy, like, oh, look at this.
Mhm.
And then the manager or the company says, we don't need that, thank you. And you never get to utilize it as part of your talent experience with the organization.
When a better
What do
question
you
would have been like, well, how can we leverage that new skill that you developed in this environment? And so I might not be able to provide you a direct opportunity to do it under that department, but maybe we can leverage it internally. And so, because again, you want to help them build an experience. And so
right,
you want to collaborate with them. You don't want to shut them down and turn someplace else because again, now they're disengaged. So the whole thing about employee engagement, employee experience is that you want them to be engaged. Well, the only way to get them engaged and provide an experience is to have open dialogue.
absolutely.
Mhm.
But it goes back to what you said about that psychological trust.
Mhm.
How many people have had to hide their other interest or even hide that they're not happy because they don't feel safe to say, I'm not engaged. I don't feel like I have a talent experience. Therefore, I'm just here clocking in and clocking out. There's so many Gallup studies that are showing that people are not just engaged or disengaged, they're actively disengaged,
Yep.
which is on a whole nother level of being disengaged. And we don't know that sometimes as leaders because we are not even opening up that discussion to say, tell me how you feel and why. So I'm gonna ask you this question, Neil. Have you ever had a stay interview with your team or encouraging your clients to have a stay interview? Because what I do is I like to, and I've done a lot of webinars on this, is have that conversation to figure out why they're staying and what barrier will keep them from staying with the organization. That is a great lead in to figure out what type of programs or initiatives do I need to put in place as a leader to give this person the individual talent experience?
Mm-hmm.
Because I know they're telling me in the state interview that they may leave because of X, Y, and Z. Have you ever done a state interview or encouraged your clients
So
to do it?
I have encouraged my clients to do it because I look at them as focus groups. They're like one-on-one focus groups. I am here literally asking you for your input so that I can build a better experience for you going forward. I have not been through one myself in my previous one because I really believe this is something that, you look, correct me if I'm wrong, this is not something that's new. It's just never been done in the fields and spaces that I have been in.
Right. Me either. I've never had one either.
But I believe that they're worthwhile. You know, for some reason, people don't like talking to their employees and their staff to get their feedback on things, and ultimately, they're the ones doing the work. So why not talk to them and see what will keep them engaged and keep them involved? Because if you think just supplying them with perks and benefits is the only way of keeping them engaged, I'm gonna let you know that's only short lived. That's just like providing just a little adrenaline and then it dies out. But if you give them something worthwhile to stick around for, or if they communicate that with you and you provide that, I'm liking the stay interview aspect because you're providing them a psychologically safe environment for them to tell you what they want or what they need in order to stay. And ultimately, if you meet the need, and you can actually then get to what they want. And so you can see your organization change and grow into other areas that you never thought about.
Right. Absolutely. And you said about the short-term impact and the perks. And we love to see companies who love to throw pizza parties. We're going to give everybody pizza on Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Keep them engaged. And
Maybe salads too now. We got healthy people.
oh, you got it, and the salad. You got to
Mm-hmm.
have the pizza in the salad. Now everybody wants to stay, but it's like so many different areas when we talk about the talent experience. And we talked about professional and personal development. Of course, it's huge in what people want as well. Another area that a lot of companies may not be thinking about is that psychological safety, along with that mental health as
Mm-hmm.
well. What about the health and wellness of your talent? And that differs depending on the person. And it goes back to what you said about having those individual conversations. Is the person burnt out? Is the person stressed out? Are we allowing for that space for someone to get that mental health or health and wellness that they need? And on top of that, we can't have blanketed benefits for people as well. What I need as far as benefits, maybe, I mean, you are a parent of two babies. Well, they're not babies, but
No, we're not babies anymore, thank
they're
God.
not babies anymore. So the benefits that you need as a father may be different than mine as someone who is single with no kids. And I know, again, these seem like things that are pretty obvious, but they're not obvious to every leader and company because they're
But
not doing
in
it.
the world of benefits and perks, they've advanced. You can customize benefit packages
Yeah.
for your employees now. That's not so taboo at this current moment. You don't have to blanket slate everything. It can be choices and options based on the needs. And so you're bringing up some really good things that, hey, organizations should really start taking into account on how can they build that experience. And it gets that granular because people are leaving you for those granular things. This is not something we're just talking about taboo. We're just saying, hey, there's this thing going on right now. People are leaving roles, and you're stuck trying to figure out why. I work with a lot of small to medium-sized businesses
Mhm.
that are struggling to attract employees So they've just now got hip to, oh, I can customize benefit packages. Oh, I can implement mental health programs. Oh, I can get these things to bring in to attract people. And you will be amazed of the people that are willing to leave the big Fortune 500 companies to go work for a small family owned practice because they want that small engagement. They want that team feel, that family feel. And so, and then it does work the other way around. I'm tired of being in a family small business and I want to go work for another corporation. So I'd say just acknowledge the cycle, but make sure you're being competitive with them as well. And just saying that, oh, that's going to be too expensive for us to take on isn't really an excuse anymore because
Mhm.
there are options out there so that you can be competitive. And so,
Absolutely. Yep. Another area that we are seeing as far as employee experience or talent experience is that work life balance, that flex working situation. We have organizations that are saying everybody needs to come back to the office when it looked like COVID was slowing down. Of course, we see
mhm,
the Delta variant, it may be having things spike up a little bit. And so I don't know if all companies are hip to the advantages of allowing that hybrid or even allowing the employees to have some type of autonomy when it comes to where they actually work. You know, you have some people that are very successful working remote and have done so for a while, but the
mhm.
organization may say that was just temporary through COVID. I know you've been productive, I see you've been productive, but we need you to have you in the office for X, Y, and Z. So the rhyme and reason is just that I feel that we need to have culture, and in order to have culture, I need you to be here. And I've been on teams that are remote. Our ATD team, even when I was president elect, we rarely saw each other
Mhm.
face to face after what, March or whatever. We never saw each other. Neil, I can attest to this as his senior advisor. He has been running his team. I don't know if they've ever seen each other face to face this entire year. I don't know, maybe.
Not as a group, maybe some individuals, that was just in the last 40 days.
Right.
Um, and honestly, it's become so normal. I forgot that I was really running a whole organization in a
He
remote environment.
was. He
As,
did a good job, everybody. He's been doing a really good
I've
job.
literally forgotten about that part until you brought that up, and it's doable. But we built up systems to streamline processes and to communicate. And so Slack has been like great. I've gotten to the point I was like, oh, just Slack me. Don't send that email. Just put it in Slack.
And that's how I got him to do this today, guys. Listen, come on, Neil needs you to do this. So, what do you say to those organizations that say, you know, we hear everybody, we hear Neil, we hear LaKisha, we hear the other experts that are saying allow for more flexible work-life balance and flex working, but what do we lose the culture? That's why we need them in the office, because we need to continue that culture. What do you say to those companies that feel that if I see you, I know we have culture, and there's no way we can still have that same culture remotely when you've been doing it successfully for 8, 9 months now?
So I would say that you put together a pilot. If you think you find one department and then start, you can start small. And so, but it does require employee buy-in. So
Hmm.
it might be a conversation to have with them. Your employees might not want to be remote. This is going to differ based on every organization. And then there are some roles that just can't be done remotely.
Right.
So, we got to acknowledge that. But I say invite them into the conversation, have those small virtual focus groups with them, take that feedback, and then look at the data. Like look, as you know me, I don't like making any decisions until I've seen the data. And if there's no data, I'm going to go create the data, you know, the
He's
right
not
way.
going to make it up,
I'm
people.
not going to make it up, though.
He's going to research it.
I'm
Is
going
that
to do the
what
research. I'm going to do the research, and we're going to develop this data so that we can actually make decisions. So I would say for those companies that are still held on that, oh, we're going to lose our culture. If your culture is built on being only in person, you're going to be left behind. You can become the blockbuster of this decade. And that is the God, the honest truth. And so you're gonna allow Netflix to come
blockbuster?
in. You're gonna let Netflix come in and just take over, with no plan.
Absolutely. And we
Mhm.
all saw the documentary. If you haven't, please go check out the documentary about Blockbuster. What happened to Blockbuster. But I love that you said inviting in the talent for that discussion. A lot of times we see the decision that has been made to be remote or not remote or whatever come from the higher ups without any sort of input from the talent. And when the talent says something, it's like, well, this is a decision that was made higher up, and I'm just a manager communicating it. And like, especially when you said it earlier, your talent, they're the ones that run the organization. They're the
Mhm.
ones that go out every day and make it happen. So we can't just say, well, I'm sorry, you're just going to have to come in versus, well, talk to me about why that is good for you. You present your own ROI case. And anybody
Mhm.
wants to see some ROI on remote work, I'm pretty sure Jack and Patty Phillips have an ROI study to talk about the ROI of remote work.
Yep.
So I feel confident about that. But do your own ROI yourself if you want to, maybe not to the level of a ROI methodology, but just your own to say, this is why. But when our talent is coming to us, we can't just shut it down and say, nope, sorry.
Well, you
That's
also have to understand the reasons why some people can't come back to work.
right.
But that goes back to the employee experience. You have to get that granular and have those conversations because you might be working with a single father or a single mother that school is now back in session. They had to go back to a virtual environment. There's no one at home. Now they have to be back at home. How do we provide that accommodation for them? So work from home aspect could work for them. Maybe a modified or adjusted schedule will work for them.
Right.
You have to have those conversations now because as you mentioned earlier, we thought COVID was about to go someplace. It decided to stay. So now we have organizations trying to figure out, okay, now I'm about to pull everyone back into their virtual environments. And now we're looking at summer of 2022. And
Mhm.
so where I'm seeing projections, really, it might be 2025. So the idea about having a remote environment is no longer a choice. Now it's about, okay, who's going to do it the best?
Right.
Who's going to provide the best employee experience, the best organizational culture? Who's going to do it the best to compete with all of the other people that are doing it better? Who,
Absolutely.
and that's how you're gonna combat people resigning because there are people that are resigning because I cannot go into work right now, and this company is trying to make me go in and be face to face. And then there's a company over here saying, "Oh, come work from home, 100%, 150% if you want to. We'll give you stock options on top of it." I
Yeah.
know someone that's I know a couple people and that's happened. They're like, oh, you want to leave the Fortune 500 and come work for the medium sized company? Well, the medium sized company is like, yeah, I'll take you and give you stock options and all those things because I want to be like them. So why not take their talent?
Absolutely. It's interesting you said that. I remember having a conversation with a group of leaders I was training, and we were role playing how to have that conversation about going back to the office. And of course, I'm playing the talent, so I'm giving pushback. And
Mhm.
I say, well, my daughter, and I have to make sure she's okay. And the manager in the role play, being herself, says, well, aren't they babysitters and daycare centers? And I said, ma'am, if you say that to someone, which you have every right to say that, but I'm telling you, that person may come back, but she will be looking for someone else to work while she's there. You cannot say, well, I'm sorry, that's the rules, and go get a babysitter. Aren't there daycare centers? That is not, again, even if you can't accommodate that is not the way to do that. And then
Mhm.
maybe listen to what she's saying. Maybe there's a reason why. And we're not going to say yes every time to our talent, but if they don't feel that you're listening, you genuinely care, and you're providing options, to
Mhm.
your point,
How can I
there's
support?
a lot of other companies that have no problem welcoming that mother who needs to work from home for this amount of time until maybe the daycare center is
Or
not.
we'll
We don't know.
or we'll provide a benefit like Care.com and say that hey, this is the vetted babysitters and things that you can look and see in your area. So for those, and some companies have them, and most managers don't know about their own company benefits and things that they can use to leverage in conversations with their employees.
Yeah, I
So
had
if
it at two
you are
companies.
You're right. So if you are a manager or whatnot, you should definitely look at your benefits and see how you can leverage that to have these conversations with your employees so that you're providing them all of the options. So, because sometimes things are there and you probably have all kinds of perks and you just never know until it's time to use them.
Absolutely.
Um, and I'm that person that goes through when I entertain a job, I look at all my benefits. not just salary. I want to see the whole compensation package.
Holistic
No, because
process.
because I don't know what else. I don't know what's gonna pop up one day. I might need, my son broke his leg this summer. So I needed that AFLAC, accident insurance. That came in really good. That came in handy.
I remember when that happened,
Yeah,
definitely. Because again, you didn't plan
then
for your
plan.
son to break that leg of
Right, but
his.
I did plan to pay that premium on a monthly basis, though, which was a great idea. I didn't even think about it. So just knowing that that was available, and I got that from an organization that I actually ended up leaving, but it was able to come with me as long as I maintained the premium, and I'm still paying the same rate that they got it for, which was really low. So that's a perk, and that's a benefit. And so when I'm thinking long term, and I was like, oh, I should cancel this. I said, well, accidents do happen.
You sound like the commercial.
I sound like the commercial. Affleck should send me some dollars. There you go.
Yeah, no, it's interesting you say that because when I look at benefits, because I am in that age and that time where I am exploring the option of becoming a mother, um, I have to look at like what are your benefits when it comes to anything related to fertility? What does that look like as far as maternity benefits? What does all that look like? The hospital, all those stuff. What does that look like for me as someone, again, maybe 10 years ago, that was not important to me. I didn't care about any of that. Now, even 10 years ago, I didn't really so much look into 401k and the matching as I do now. So a lot of things, again, knowing the person, knowing what they need and asking those questions can be really imperative. And you said something about stock options. I remember interviewing for a company and I was blown away when the young lady asked me, so what's more important to you? Having a higher salary and bonus, or possible equity into the business? I said, wait, there's options? She says, yeah, we want to make sure it's individualized because for some people, that salary being high is more important to them. Then we have some people that they feel they want to work really hard and they want to be able to be compensated by way of commission and bonus. And then you have some people that want long-term wealth possibly. And if they get equity stocks into the business, that's more important to them. I
Mm-hmm.
was blown away because I said, wow, you're giving people three options of what's important for them when it just comes to something such as financial compensation. So when you said that, I was like, yeah, I've actually personally had a conversation during the interview process where someone asked me that question. And I
Mm-hmm.
was blown away, impressed with the question because she wanted to know what was important to me versus,
Sounds like during their talent management process that they start the employee experience in the beginning.
as it should be. It should be during recruiting, which is what it is.
Yeah.
Is during that recruiting process to say, wow, this is what you would do. Another area of that talent experience, and people don't even think about this, it's just the ambiance in the office and the layout and, is it hot? Is it cold? Are doors open in an office? Do we have a shared space? Is it an
Mm-hmm.
open floor plan? All those things make a difference because I've been in organizations where I've been at a cubicle, good old school cubicle. I've been in one where I've had an office to myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've been at very modern one where it's an open area and no one has assigned desk.
Mm-hmm. Just sit down someplace.
Just sit down someplace. And if you want to go into a meeting room, you have access as long as nobody's in there. And you can go into that as well. But I think it's important to even have that conversation during, again, the recruiting process, because there may be some people to say, I don't feel comfortable in an open space like that, or I don't like a cubicle. I don't know anyone that likes a cubicle, by the way. Or it may be because at the company I work for, even the managers did not have a assigned office. So if
Mm-hmm.
you're someone going to interview as a manager, as a leader, and that's important to you to have that office, which nameplate, then working somewhere where you're sharing a space with everybody may not be the best option for you. So I don't know, Neil, if you've ever talked to any of your clients or even yourself, if that's even been a conversation, because it is important to know that if you're someone that wants your private area, open, modern space, it doesn't happen in those environments.
It doesn't happen in those environments, and but I guess a good question would be to ask, how could you accommodate that? The role still might be a really good role, but you don't have that one thing that could be that, hey, I get to work early enough to make sure I get that one spot that I know I'm going to have that's
Could
inclusion.
be.
And so, and is that really something that's a decision maker for the role that you're currently having as well. But as the employer, the employees, when they, the organization, when they decided to make that decision and transition into that open concept for the workplace, I like to ask, did you survey the employees to see that if that's something they actually really wanted, or was that the new cool hip idea that you heard someplace and you decided that's how you were going to make your offices? But I've been in a cubicle with my teams before. I had a larger cubicle than they did, um, but I've been in that environment, and you can hear it. You can hear everything. You can smell
Oh,
aroma.
yes.
You can do all those things. Eventually, I moved to my own office after growing my team over time, which helped with privacy. But if those things are important to you, those are things you are worth having a conversation um, on the front end of the talent management process, so that you have all the information you need as you get into the role. Because it's hard to show up to a role, to a job one day, and you realize that, oh, this is an open concept office. What am I going to do? Um, and don't bring the box of stuff, because that's a lot of stuff to keep moving around when you go places.
And usually they give you a little locker, because I actually worked in an environment
Mhm.
like that when I would go visit. And it wasn't that bad. If I wanted my space, there was like a private little area there that you can go, but you couldn't be there all day. You can like hibernate there.
Right.
And then you have your own locker and things like that. So I'm also at a cubicle. And again, I sat by somebody who played music the entire time. So I listened to his music the entire. Luckily, he had good music
Yeah,
the
good
entire
case,
time.
hopefully. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, good music. And then, of course, I've had my own office as well. So I've had it all, and I don't really have too much of a preference. But again, my talent experience, that's not a make or break for me, but it could be for someone. And to your point, ask that question, have the conversation, because you don't want to show up one day with your pictures and everything like that. I want to put my kid's picture here. Sir, there's no place for that here. So take that back home. And
Hmm.
you didn't know that. So talk to me about your personal experience of some effective and ineffective talent experiences that you face. You don't have to name any companies or anything unless it's effective and you want to just be a good alumni. But what are some good experience, and then maybe some ineffective experiences that you face personally?
Personally, so in my roles in the past, I've worked with in corporate learning in the past. It's just really helping organizations upskill. I do that as a consultant now, but I was doing that for universities and other organizations in the past. Um, I found that I was always hiring and bringing in talent or other consultants to do a lot of the work. Um, and I always had to do the ID work or the instructional design work to go along with it to customize that content. Well, one of the skills that I needed to upskill to make me more effective and have more of an impact on the job was either was an instructional design certificate to upskill in that area, or at the time a DISC or assessment certificate, so that I understood the research and where some of the consultants were coming from when they were delivering and building out this content. But some of the organizations that I worked with found it very hard to make that investment. Now, mind you, I wasn't talking about a $20,000-$30,000 investment. I'm talking about a $2,500 investment or a $3,000 investment in me as an individual, so that not only could I do my role better, but I can provide a better experience for an external customer. Yes, it benefited me as well because it allowed for me personally to grow too. But they couldn't get over that hump because they didn't see that direct connect, even though I spelled it all the way out. That was one of those experiences that really left a bad taste in my mouth, because I was like, well, type of ROI. With
Oh, did we lose you, Neil? We may have lost him for a second there. So as he probably adjusts and gets his internet working, I just kind of share for everyone. I've been in experiences where I have had the opportunity to explore things that I love. I got to do outside endeavors, and the organizations were actually encouraging for me to do that. Oh, do we have Neil back?
Okay.
I was sharing a little bit of my experience, but I will let you go ahead and finish
Oh
your.
no, go ahead.
No, we want to
Okay.
hear the end of this. Go ahead,
Oh
wrap
yeah.
everything up.
So, eventually understanding that the organizations didn't understand that correlation because that was really more about the employee experience that I was getting to. Your investment in me would prolong my tenure in this role, but also provide a better service not only to our clients but to the participants that are in that classroom. It allowed for me to explore more options and build out a lot of another skill set I have is business development. And for me, I need as much information possible so that I can have those relationship building tools to do that. And then beyond that, some really good positive experiences that I've had have been, leveraging the tuition reimbursement processes
Mhm.
in an organization. That's actually how I was able to complete my MBA because the organizations that I worked with, they were able to me jumpstart that because when I had kids, I was in a program. I had to take a break because there are people that can do both and juggle kids. So I had to wait till they got a little bit older to do a variety of different things. But those are some perks that I use, and some good experiences I've had. And I also had organizations provide their emerging leaders programs and mentors to really help cultivate where where I'm at this current moment. They planted the seed, and they helped, and they allowed me to go and explore. And
Awesome. So I was just sharing a little bit when you were adjusting the internet about my experience, and I remember working for two different organizations who really, really supported my interest in training and development when I first started in this, and supported my interest in outside stuff for training and development. And like you shared about DISC, I actually had an interest in DISC, and I had an organization say, "Don't you pay for it? We're actually bringing someone in to certify everyone in the organization who's interested in this." And they had four different, I think 3 or 4 different tracks where if you're interested in this or that, you go to these individual rooms and you learn about it. And I wanted to do DISC, so I got to do that. And because I was working in the US and this company was not based in the US, they said, "Hey, if you want to become a distributor, go ahead, because it really is no competition of what we're doing. You're in the US, it's completely different." And they just supported a lot of the stuff that I wanted to do when I wanted to work on women leadership. Because at the time, the company
Mhm.
didn't have a focus on women leadership. They said, "Hey, go do that." The whole women in leadership, when it talks about diversity, started when I worked at another organization, and they would support me leaving early, I think once a month, to host my women leadership events downtown Atlanta. So that was really good experience for me, where I felt like it was about what I wanted to do outside of work. And then I brought it back to the table. I got to
Mhm.
bring in some of the stuff from my education back to the table as well. And that's what I wanted. And then, of course, I shared earlier about some experiences where I did go and get some additional certificates and education and experiences, and wanted to bring them back. And you told no, and there's no way, even if it's like you said, maybe not the department, but other ways to leverage it. I wasn't seeing that. And it's frustrating. And you feel like your talents and skills aren't being utilized the way that they should. And so you find yourself looking for external opportunities or just wanting to do something for yourself. And it's two different experiences that you felt, where you are, as me as an alumni, I'm rallying for these companies that embraced what I did and supported what I wanted to do. And the other ones that weren't as focused on my individual talent experience,
Mhm.
you don't see a flag raving. I'm not going to say anything bad, but I'm also not going to be the first one to recruit other people to go work there as well, because that's kind of the impact it has when you don't focus on that individual talent experience. Because again, as we said earlier, they are the main ones that will support what you do, tell people to work there, tag the company and different things.
So,
When I
so
want,
we know that referrals are a great way of landing jobs a lot faster. So, I won't refer anyone to an organization that's outdated. Especially if I know you and I know what your career goals are, then referring you to a place that's not going to add value to you and your direction that you're trying to go, isn't going to isn't going to benefit you nor that organization. Unless that organization changed and all of a sudden decided to be more progressive,
which probably is not.
which did not happen.
Which probably is not the case. So yes, and hopefully we've given a lot of good nuggets to people as far as talent experience. We talked about it from our individual point of view. We talked about it from a managerial organization point of view. But before we close out, Neil,
Mm-hmm.
what are some last minute nuggets, pointers you want to give to an organization and then to the individual who may be struggling with not experiencing that talent experience like they want? What are some tips you can give to those people as we close out?
To the individuals or to the organizations?
Both, either
Both.
or.
Okay. So for the organizations, I would say look into creating a psychologically safe environment for your employees. So those focus groups that we were talking about, those stay interviews, I believe are very important because that's going to give you the direct feedback that you need to start crafting what the experience looks like. For the individuals, I would say that specifically those managers, if the organization is not going to create it, you can create it yourself. Managers, those first line managers, that you do hold a unique position in an organization and being able to retain your employees. And if we're looking at how people are resigning and leaving organizations right now, that kind of falls on your shoulders, unfortunately. So creating that environment and understanding why. I mean, even if you can't do anything directly to prevent it, at least you know why, because that helps craft the conversations with leadership going forward. And then as far as individuals, I would state that, hey, continue to do what you do. Hustle if you need the hustle. You know, that hustle life is what keeps you engaged, keeps you motivated. And don't be afraid to ask those hard questions. If you know you want to upskill in another area and the organization has the capacity or the capability to do it, ask. You know, they're either going to say yes or no. And if they say no, ask why not. You know, and if they give you a reason why not, and so still progress and do it, but continuously bring that up in your performance management reviews with your manager. So because that's important to you, they need to start considering what's important to you because that is your experience. Your own personal experience at the organization is going to outlive probably the organization because you're also going to go and be the alumni of that organization. But if you are trying to progress and move up the ranks, keep in mind that you don't have to do what they did to you. You can actually change and flip the script and do and provide a better experience for your leaders, for your teams when you move up the ranks in those management in that management. And that's what I do. Even when I hire, I don't mind hiring the person that has the least experience because you know what? Hey, I like building talent. You know, I like, you know, looking at the underdog and whatnot, but like, you know, I'm gonna hire that person because you know what? They're going to provide some value. They're going to provide diversity and insight, a variety of different things too. So really, you know, stand out, be unique, and ask questions always.
Stand out, be unique, and ask questions. I love it. I love it. So thank you so much, Neil, for stepping in. Will we see you again, Neil? Will you be joining us again as a co-host?
Sure. You know, I can join again as a co-host. You know, I know today was a spontaneous one, but I've enjoyed this conversation, so it's been fun.
But see, what you all don't know is that I've already asked Neil to join me before. This was not the one we were planning to do. I said, no, it'll be a little while.
You told me in the fall, so I guess
I
fall started.
did.
Fall started today.
Did it? Is it fall? Is it
Nope.
really?
Mm-mm.
No
We still in
way.
August. We still in August. It's still summer.
Okay, I was like, it felt kind of warm yesterday. Wasn't it like 45 degrees? I think I was dehydrated the other day. So
Mhm.
good. So Neil, our next session in 2 weeks, we're going to talk about the great resignation. And
Mhm.
we talked a little bit about that earlier. And we also talked about how some of these things can be an influence of what we're seeing for the great resignation. So if you want to join us, let us know. If there are any other topics you want to talk to us about or with, please let us know. We loved having you today, Neil. I
I
love
enjoy
having
being
great
here.
hosts. So.
I enjoy being here, and definitely I'll look at my calendar and make sure that I'll have a conflict, but I'll join.
We are always every other Thursday, unless something happens, and typically we at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, except for today because we have a webinar at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you have a second, hop on over to our webinar. We're going to talk about micro careers. And if you enjoyed what you heard today, some of the information we will be talking about in our webinar at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Also, we have 2 upcoming certificate programs. So if you're interested in leadership, Neil talked a lot about the expectation of leaders. Join us September 20th through 23rd as we have a class on leadership development. It's a 4-day certificate program where we talk about leading ourselves, leading others, challenging situation, and strategic planning. Everything you need for a mid-manager all the way up to the director. And then we have our strategic diversity, equity, and inclusion certificate, which is one of our most popular. So make sure that you check that out as well. And so next time, I am LaKisha C. Brooks from the Leadership Loft with LaKisha C. Brooks. See you later.